Do this homework on difference of two squares. I looked through some of your work and a few mistakes people are making. I'm not 100% why really, so make sure you get on to me if this doesn't make sense after you see it. Okay, so the first one is 144x squared minus 25y squared. Okay, so it's definitely minus. Good. There's an x here and that's squared, so that's good. There's a y here and that's squared, so it's a difference. The letters are squared, and then are these numbers square numbers? So is there something that you can square to make 144? Was it on our list? It was. It's 12x squared. Okay, so 12 squared makes 144, and x squared is x squared. The minus in the middle. Here, something squared that makes 25 is 5. Y to be squared. So if you apply the square to the y, you get your 20. Sorry, if you apply the square to the 5, you get your 25. And if you apply the square to the y, you get your y squared. Now, most people are getting that bit right. That's actually the hard bit. Okay? So I'm just going to kind of break this down a little bit more. I normally call this the first and call this bit the second. Okay, simply because this comes first and this comes second. Okay, for no reason. The final line to these are always the first minus the second, the first plus the second. Now, it doesn't matter whether you go plus here and minus here or minus here. It doesn't matter whether the minus comes first or the plus comes first. It just matters that you have a plus and a minus. They just have to be different. There shouldn't be anything in here in between these brackets. They're factors, and factors are things that you multiply together. So this final line has to be a multiplication. That minus only stays in the middle in that line. It goes in the final line. Okay, so literally you write the first one minus the second one, the first one plus the second one. Okay, there should never be any squares in this final line. If you look at it, we have a 12x squared, okay, which means we have two 12x's. There's one of them, there's the other one. That's your squared. So you shouldn't have a squared down here, because if you have a squared down here, then it wouldn't multiply out to give you a square. Okay, so the square comes from the fact that we have two of these. Here's one of them, here's two of them. The 5y is squared, so there should be two of these as well. Here's one, here's two. Again, there should be no squares in that final line. Okay, and then you should always have, you're trying to make a minus, so you should always have a plus and a minus, but it doesn't matter which order. Okay, so yeah, a couple of things I was looking at, people did have the minus in here, so no, factors are multiplications, there shouldn't be a minus. Getting this line here and getting the first bracket, so getting 12x minus 5y or 12x plus 5y or whatever, and then the second bracket doing something funny. So I don't know if you're trying to combine highest common factor and difference of two squares or something, but you don't. Okay, in difference of two squares, the brackets should be identical with the exception of that sign. Okay, and maybe this might help. First minus second, first plus second. That's what your bracket should look like. Okay, so we'll keep going. Actually, most of those mistakes I'm talking about, even now that I've said it, didn't happen in part A. You got part A, and it was then part B and C that threw you. Okay, so I'll apply the same logic to B and C. So 100 a squared minus 1. So again, we have our minus. So we're going to attempt to write it as square somethings. Now, is 100 a square number? It is. It comes from 10 squared. The A. So then if you take that square and apply it to the 10, you get 100. Take that square, apply it to the A, you get A squared. Now, is 1 a square number? Can 1 be written as something squared? Was it on our list? It was. It's 1. So 1 squared makes 1. Okay? Now we do our first minus second, first plus second. And we get 10a minus 1, 10a plus 1. Okay, so again, the brackets should be identical with the exception of that sign. There should be no squares, and there should be nothing in between the brackets. All right, and then C, just do it over here, is 64r squared minus 81. Okay, so let's try write these as squares. 64 is on the list, it's 8 squared, and then your or. So again, if you apply the square to the 8, you get the 64, and if you apply the square to the or, you get the or squared. So this is just writing this in a different form. Same here, 81 was on the list, it's 9 squared. Okay, so I'm going to open up my 2 brackets with no sign in between, and I'm going to do the first minus the second, the first plus the second. So again, those 2 brackets are identical except for that sign. Okay, so have a good look at them, because I think I checked like maybe 10 people's work, and like everybody was on the right track. It's not like I'm saying, oh God, you hadn't a clue what you were doing, but I think only 2 people got it fully right. Everybody else had some mistakes, and like they weren't, in my opinion, if you're going to make a mistake in this question, you're going to make it in that line, actually figuring out the squares. After that, like that last line, is literally just you write the first one minus the second one. You write the first one plus the second one. So it's obviously something in my explanation I didn't explain it properly. So hopefully that's fixed that. And if it hasn't, will you let me know, please?